Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountbatten here, and today we are taking a look back at the Tier VIII Premium German battleship, the Tirpitz, a ship that is very quickly approaching its 9th birthday in World of Warships. It will be 9, I believe, in September of this year, which is kind of nuts. But the Tirpitz, my first ever Tier VIII Premium ship in the game ever. I believe I followed the path that many a newer player followed. I was grinding up my tech line that I'd picked to grind up for my first tech line, which was the American battleships. I got to the Colorado. I got really tired of playing the Colorado and I wanted a Tier 8 ship, so I picked up the Tirpitz because I heard so much about it, of course, like on the History Channel when I was growing up and on the interwebs. So picked it up, quickly realized I had no idea how to play the ship, and then I parked it until I went up the German battleship line. And that is something that typically happens with most newer players in Tirpitz, especially back in the day when we didn't really have the buffet of Tier 8 premium ships to buy. A lot of them would gravitate toward the Tirpitz because of its history, and it's the sister ship to the Bismarck and all this jazz, right? So that gave the Tirpitz a bit of a reputation for being a not well played ship. Typically, you would find Tirpitz players selling broadside to the enemy team, eating walls of torpedoes, and not really knowing how to play their ship. And again, I was one of those players. I fully admit I was trying to snipe in the Tirpitz from 20 kilometers away. That ain't what the Tirpitz is about. Now, in today's World of Warships, what the Tirpitz is about kind of also leads to her being, I don't want to say like a black sheep or whatever, because she's certainly a popular ship, but she falls into that class of ship that a chunk of the player base says is kind of useless to play in today's World of Warships, and that is secondary brawlers. But we'll get to that here in a minute. First off, what is the Tirpitz? Well, she is the sister ship to the Bismarck. Bismarck can be found in the Tier 8 slot of the German battleship tech tree for the main line of German battleships. And for the vast majority of their characteristics, the ships are one and the same. They have the same guns, the same armor, the same top speed. The difference comes into their consumables and some of the additional munitions bolted to their deck. You see, the Bismarck has hydroacoustic search, which is a very useful consumable, especially in today's World of Warships with submarines and such, right? But the Tirpitz gives up that hydro in order to get torpedoes bolted to her deck, along with a good chunk of her AA. Granted, Bismarck doesn't exactly have fantastic AA, but she's got better AA than what Tirpitz has. So Tirpitz gives up a bit of her AA and the hydroacoustic search to have torpedoes. But again, other than that, secondary guns are exactly the same. You get a mix of 128 and 150 millimeter secondary guns. And again, main guns, 8 15-inch guns with the exact same reload speed can be found on both ships. So Tirpitz is kind of like a side grade to the Bismarck, where she's more focused on brawling because of those torpedoes. Because of course, in a brawling situation, when you are driving in close to the enemy ship, having those torpedoes up your sleeve that do 13,700 damage, alpha, and you get 4 of them per side, that's a really nice ace up your sleeve to have when you are brawling. And that's the Tirpitz's thing. She's a brawler's brawler. She's best played at medium to close range, even after they gave her and the rest of the German battleships the American battleship dispersion ellipse back in, what was that, update 8.3 or whatever. She's still best played from mid to close range. Now, if you go and check out the general mindset of the community, if you go on the Discord, the subreddit, YouTube comment section, or if you live on the wild side and go onto the fringes of society and check out the Facebook groups, you'll see that, again, generally the mindset is that high tier is super passive, and those are the ships that do well there. Those ships that can sit back and snipe, those are the ships you want to take into the match, because otherwise you're going to be pretty useless. Now, I think it's hard to say that a ship is going to be useless or a ship is useless. Can it be played uselessly? Absolutely. If you're in a battleship and you're sitting in the back of the map and you're just sniping the other battleship on the enemy team that's doing the exact same thing as you are being pretty useless, because yeah, you might sink that one guy, but it would be better if you were closer to a cap tanking for your team, and helping them kill the cruisers that are trying to murder their destroyers. That way you can murder their destroyers and take out much more effective targets than that one battleship sitting in the back of the map at 20 kilometers. That's a much more useful gameplay than sitting in the back and sniping. But higher tier matches are really passive, are they not? Certainly they are. However, the game you see in the background is a pretty stereotypical higher tier game. Both teams are pretty passive. I think at one point like 2/3 of my team was hiding behind an island on the southern side of the map. But as you'll see, myself and a Bismarck, we decided we were just going to go and take the long way around and see if we could get within secondary range and do things that our ships are good at. So we take the long way around at the northern cap. We, hop between islands, using that to break line of sight with the enemy team. And then we were able to come out behind, well, not really behind them, but, within close enough range to them to where we can both get our secondaries on their ships and be within, our optimum range, the range where the 26-second reload of both the Bismarck and the Tirpitz with their 15-inch guns is going to be most effective and make up for the, not so accurate main battery guns that we do have. And we both had a pretty good time. Now, of course, you might be saying, well, Sealord, you're winning this match for most of it. And yeah, that's true. It certainly was a match that our team was certainly winning for a good chunk of it. But think about this too. How many times are you, winning a game, but you don't really do that well because you're winning that much, right? Where you kind of have to chase down the enemy team in order to get your damage in, which I did have to do here in the Tirpitz. But point being, the Tirpitz still got stuff done in this match. And yeah, I have played a lot of German battleships. I'm probably better than your average German battleship player, but I'm not like a Unicum or anything like that, or anywhere near that good, right? And it still put in work. It still did damage. Ships got sunk. We contributed to our team's victory. And yeah, not every game is going to be like this, where you have a pretty solid game and your team wins. There's going to be plenty of games where you lose and you didn't really get much done, but the ship can still function in today's World of Warships, and it can still do quite well in random battles. And yes, this wasn't a up-tier game. I think there might have been 1 or 2 tier 9s, but not really too many in this match, or it might have been all tier 8s one way or another. So yeah, like the ship is still perfectly capable of performing in today's World of Warships, even in random battles. But where the Tirpitz really shines in today's World of Warships isn't really randoms. Because yeah, it can do fine just there, but when it's time for ranked or brawls at tier 8, man, the Tirpitz is fantastic. Because funnily enough, when the random battles meta is so passive and such at higher tier, the ranked meta and obviously the brawls meta is obviously much closer than that. So when it comes time for ranked, Tirpitz is fantastic for tier 8 ranked, thanks to its armor, the quick reloading guns, and the secondaries, because ranked is typically played much closer than random battles. So when you really need to have the ability to carry your ranked team to victory, the Tirpitz is a really, really solid choice for that because of all of the things that make her great for close quarters combat. And I haven't even mentioned Lucians yet. Lucians is the German unique commander. You can get him in the armory for coal. So you get him, slap him on your Tirpitz, or really any German ship, because he does great work on all of them. And for Tirpitz, though, his main attraction is his secondary loader skill. So once you get 100 secondary hits, you get a 15% buff to the reload time of those secondary guns. So now you're getting those 105 and those 150mm secondary guns loading even faster. That's great for ranked because there's no achievements in ranked, right? So when you get 100 secondary hits, that's not an achievement, that's just 100 secondary hits. That skill pops and you get that loading time on your secondaries down that much faster. And when you're in ranked or in same tier matchmaking, those 105s can pin the armor threshold they need to pin, with the exception of course, the battleship armor, but they're doing enough work with their fire chance and their reload time with, Lucian's skill, the build you're going to have on your Tirpitz, and then with Adrenaline Rush on top of that, you're really pushing those secondaries to their maximum, and it's just such a great time when you're really, really getting those secondaries out and about, and they're doing their thing, and you're in close range using your torpedoes and your guns to take out the enemy ship. So yeah, Lucian's really helps elevate Tirpitz to the next level, and is, I believe, a must if you're going to pick up a Tirpitz or really any high number of German ships. You want to definitely pick up Lucians for them. So Tirpitz overall, she still got it in today's World of Warships. Can she still work in random battles? Yes, she can still get stuff done. You just have to know what you're doing. Great for ranked if rank comes back to tier 8, which it often does. She's fantastic for that. Absolutely great for brawls too when brawls are at tier 8. So yes, I would highly recommend picking her up when you can. There's a Tirpitz B that is available for Black Friday. There's a little bit cheaper. She's still a great ship in 2024. Is she super meta? No. Can she still work? Yes. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. We're getting very close to 60,000 subscribers, and I cannot thank you guys enough for that. Hope you guys all have a wonderful Saturday, wonderful rest of your week. Hope to catch you guys in the next one.